The badge fell from trembling fingers and clattered onto Ellen's studio floor. For 15 years, the children of Riverside Elementary had known her simply as Mrs. Peterson, the kindest school bus driver in the district. They had no idea that the woman who sang songs with them every morning and made sure they all got home safely had once hunted the most dangerous predators in America. But Agent Patricia Patty Morrison, retired FBI profiler, was about to have her carefully constructed new identity shattered on live television by the one person who had never stopped looking for her. But to understand how a former federal agent became a school bus driver and why her past was about to collide with her present in the most public way possible, we need to go back to a case that changed everything and a decision that saved countless children while destroying the life she once knew. Mary Peterson, as she was known to everyone in the small Oregon town of Riverside, had been driving school bus Route 47 for 15 years. Every morning at 6:30 a.m., she would begin her carefully planned route through the neighborhood surrounding Riverside Elementary, collecting 43 children whose parents trusted her completely with their most precious cargo. What made Mary different from other drivers wasn't just her gentle nature or her willingness to learn every child's name. It was her vigilance. She noticed everything: which houses had new cars in the driveways, which adults lingered too long at bus stops, which children seemed withdrawn or afraid. Parents attributed her protective instincts to natural maternal care. They had no idea they were witnessing the trained observations of someone who had spent 25 years studying the behavioral patterns of serial killers. The children adored Mary. She kept candy in her jacket pocket for students having bad days, remembered birthdays, and somehow always knew when someone needed extra attention. 8-year-old Emma Rodriguez called her "my bus mom." 12-year-old Tyler Chen credited Mary with helping him through his parents' divorce by simply listening during their daily rides. But there were things about Mary that didn't quite add up for those who paid close attention. She never talked about her past, never mentioned family, never participated in school social events. Her emergency contact form listed only a lawyer. She lived alone in a small apartment with security systems that seemed excessive for their quiet town. Most telling of all, she had an uncanny ability to spot troubled children before anyone else noticed the signs. What the Riverside community didn't know was that Mary Peterson was a ghost. Patricia Morrison had died professionally in 2008. After 25 years with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit, she had been one of the Bureau's most successful profilers, responsible for helping capture over 40 serial predators, including some of the most notorious child killers in American history. Her final case had changed everything. Patricia had spent 3 years tracking a predator who targeted children in school zones across the Pacific Northwest. The breakthrough came when she identified a pattern in the locations where children had gone missing, all near elementary schools with specific demographic profiles. Her psychological profile led to the arrest of Marcus Webb, a man who had been posing as a school employee to gain access to victims. But Webb's capture came at a terrible cost. During his interrogation, he made it clear that Patricia's involvement in the case had made her a target. He had associates, he claimed, people who would make sure she paid for destroying their operation. The threats were specific, credible, and terrifying. Webb knew where Patricia lived, knew her routines, knew that she lived alone with only her work to protect her. The U.S. Marshals recommended witness protection, but Patricia chose a different path. She requested early retirement, liquidated her assets, and disappeared into the witness relocation program on her own terms. Patricia Morrison, the FBI profiler who had dedicated her life to protecting children, ceased to exist. Mary Peterson, school bus driver, was born. The choice of profession wasn't random. Patricia couldn't stop being what she was, someone whose life's mission was protecting children from predators. Driving a school bus allowed her to continue that mission while maintaining the low profile her safety required. Every day she could ensure that 43 children made it safely to and from school. Every day she could use her trained eyes to watch for the signs that had once helped her catch killers. For 15 years the system worked perfectly. Mary blended into the fabric of Riverside's educational community, beloved by children and trusted by parents, while maintaining the anonymity that kept her alive. She had found peace in her new identity, purpose in her daily routine, and family in the children who filled her bus with laughter every morning. But the past has a way of catching up, even to those who have tried hardest to escape it. Special Agent Robert Chen, now retired, had been Patricia's partner during her final years at the Bureau. He had never stopped feeling guilty about her forced disappearance, never stopped believing that she deserved recognition for her service rather than a life in hiding. When he saw her name mentioned on Ellen's show website as a nominee for the Everyday Heroes segment, he knew he had found his former partner. The nomination had come from the parents of Riverside Elementary, who had written a collective letter to Ellen's producers describing Mary's extraordinary dedication to their children's safety. They mentioned her uncanny ability to spot potential problems before they developed, her protective instincts that went far beyond normal job duties, and the love she showed every child in her care. Robert recognized the behavioral patterns described in the letter. This wasn't just a caring bus driver. This was someone with professional training in child protection and threat assessment. Combined with the timeline and geographic location, he was certain Mary Peterson was Patricia Morrison. Ellen DeGeneres show producers were initially skeptical when Robert contacted them, claiming that their featured everyday hero was actually a former FBI agent. But when Robert provided documented proof of Patricia's service record and explained the circumstances that had forced her into hiding, they realized they had stumbled onto something extraordinary. The challenge was how to honor Patricia's service without compromising her safety. The Webb case was closed, the threats neutralized by time and the perpetrator's imprisonment, but revealing her identity still carried risks. After extensive consultation with federal authorities, Ellen's team developed a plan that would celebrate Patricia's heroism while respecting her need for continued discretion. Ellen DeGeneres' show studio that Thursday morning buzzed with an energy that felt different somehow. Ellen moved through her opening segments with characteristic warmth, building toward the Everyday Heroes segment that would close the show. In the green room, Mary sat nervously, still not quite believing she was there, wearing her best dress and carrying thank you cards from her students. Behind the scenes, Ellen made a decision that would honor both Patricia's past and Mary's present. Our final guest today, Ellen announced to the studio audience, represents the very best of what it means to protect and serve our children. For 15 years, she has been a guardian angel to dozens of families, ensuring their most precious cargo arrives safely at school every morning. Please welcome Mary Peterson. Mary walked onto the stage slowly, overwhelmed by the lights and thunderous applause. Ellen greeted her with that signature hug, and immediately Mary felt some of her nervousness fade. There was something in Ellen's manner that reminded her of the trust she had built with parents over the years. "Mary," Ellen said as they settled into their chairs, "tell me what makes driving a school bus so special to you." Mary's voice was quiet but steady. "Ellen, those children are everything to me. Every morning parents put their most precious gifts in my care. I take that responsibility very seriously. I want every child to feel safe, valued, and protected." In the audience, Robert Chen sat in the fourth row, his hands clasped tightly as he listened to his former partner speak. 15 years had changed her appearance somewhat, but her voice, her values, her unwavering commitment to child safety were exactly the same. "You have an unusual background for a bus driver," Ellen said gently. "Can you tell us about your previous career?" Mary hesitated, the instinct for secrecy warring with the trust she felt for Ellen. "I worked in public safety for many years," she said carefully. "Different job, same mission, keeping people safe." Ellen leaned forward with that knowing smile that had become her trademark. "Mary, what would you say if I told you that someone from your previous career is here today? Someone who has been looking for you for 15 years? The confusion on Mary's face was immediate and intense. In her protected world, contact from her past could only mean danger. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice tight with concern. Ellen gestured toward the audience. "Robert, would you come down here?" The camera panned to Robert as he stood up, and Mary's face went white as she recognized her former partner. 15 years melted away as she saw the man who had stood beside her through some of the darkest cases either of them had ever worked. "Bobby?" she whispered, using the nickname only she had ever called him. Robert walked toward the stage, tears streaming down his face. When he reached Mary, they embraced like the partners in justice they had always been. "I've been looking for you for 15 years, Robert said, his voice thick with emotion. "Not to compromise your safety, but to tell the world what you did, who you really are." Ellen, understanding the magnitude of this reunion, addressed the audience directly. "Ladies and gentlemen, what you're witnessing is the reunion of two FBI agents who spent decades protecting children from the worst predators imaginable." The studio fell silent as Ellen continued. "Mary Peterson, your real name is Patricia Morrison. You're not just a bus driver. You're one of the most decorated child protection specialists in FBI history. You helped capture over 40 serial predators. And when your final case put your life in danger, you didn't just disappear. You found a new way to keep protecting children." Mary looked at Ellen, then at Robert, then at the audience filled with people who now knew her secret. The life she had built, the anonymity that had protected her, was gone. But instead of feeling fear, she felt something unexpected: relief. "The children don't know," she said, her first thought for her students. "The children," Ellen assured her, "are going to be so proud to learn that their bus driver is an American hero." Robert pulled out a medal case he had carried for 15 years. "Patricia, this is the FBI Director's Award for Excellence in Child Protection. You were supposed to receive it in 2008. But you had to disappear before the ceremony. I've been holding it for you ever since." As Robert pinned the medal on Mary's dress, Ellen made one final gesture that would define this moment. "Mary, or Patricia, or whatever name you choose to use, I want you to know that your service hasn't gone unnoticed. Starting Monday, the Ellen DeGeneres Foundation is establishing the Patricia Morrison Child Safety Program, providing funding and resources for schools to enhance their child protection protocols." The impact of that revelation extended far beyond the studio walls. Mary's story sparked a national conversation about the hidden heroes who continue serving their communities even after their official careers end. The episode became one of Ellen's most watched, but more importantly, it inspired hundreds of retired law enforcement officers to volunteer their expertise in schools across America. Mary Peterson returned to her school bus the following Monday, wearing her FBI medal proudly. The children were amazed to learn their bus mom was a real-life hero, but to them she had always been exactly that. Her cover was blown, but her mission remained the same, ensuring every child in her care made it safely home. Ellen DeGeneres learned that day that sometimes the most extraordinary people are hiding in the most ordinary places, continuing to serve and protect long after the cameras stop rolling and the accolades fade away.